For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. And as they say, if you like what you hear, remember to subscribe. Drop a comment below. Below what, though, actually, now that I think about that? This isn't YouTube or anything. Can people comment on this when they go to the... I've hosted a podcast for, 5-6 years now? I've never downloaded one. That's not true. I downloaded the Richard Simmons one. Where in the world is Richard Simmons, or whatever that was? I remember listening to that last summer. I found it fascinating. So what we do, obviously, in this podcast is more almost like a talk radio show. So we're not doing the traditional podcast, which usually includes, clips and research and whatever. But doesn't Joe Rogan, or does he still have the corona? But doesn't Joe Rogan just kind of have conversations with people and talk and just sort of randomly say things? I was told before, I'm already getting off topic because I'm supposed to tell you what's happening on the show today. But and if that's a sign of things to come, we're in trouble. But I was told before, you host your podcast like it's a radio show. And quite honestly, by creation at the very beginning, this was sort of just an extension of the radio shows. When I was hosting those top 40 and country music shows, I would have these long rambling stories, or we would have the celebrity guest segments that would run too long and we didn't have enough time for all of them. So we would run the entire thing on the podcast. That was kind of our roundabout way of having everything heard. And so we just kind of kept it going that way. I don't have the time. I've got no interest in doing research and clips and throwing to a clip in a feature and do. I just want to come on here, talk for 30 minutes, and get the fuck out. All right, so here's what I'm going to be talking about today. People post personal ads and online ads. Usually it's for dating and that sort of romantic companionship. But what about posting a friendship ad? Meaning, I just want to meet somebody new and make a good friend out of it. Is that something you would do? Or more importantly, would you respond to one of those kinds of ads? I'm going to read you one that my team shared with me, and I thought it was quite nice. And so it kind of made me think. At first I thought it was strange when they told me, okay, let's talk about an ad that somebody posted to find friends. I originally thought, well, that's kind of weird. You can go out and just meet people at your job or whatever it is. Why would you have to do that? But when you hear it, I want to know what your opinion would be if you kind of are like, aw, as I was. Also then, too, when you were a kid, you had certain personality traits, right? Maybe you were impatient. Maybe you didn't like to share. Maybe you didn't like to say please or thank you. I still hate saying the word please. I'm not sure why. I don't know. When I do end up saying it to somebody, I almost sort of mumble it. There's just something weird about the word please. I don't know. I don't mind saying thank you. I'm all about that. But I'm not a please person. So one of those childhood traits has carried over to my adult life. Now, I want to know if there's anything, for instance, if you were impulsive and when you got your allowance, did you go and spend it right away? Or did you have the mindset to go and say, if I save this up for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I can get something bigger and better? So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. And what was the other thing? Oh my God, there's I wrote them all down. I don't have them. Somebody tell me what we were going to talk about. Oh, buffets. All right, we might not even have time for the buffet chat. Basically, when you go to a buffet, do you eat as much? I can't even set it up. If we get around to it, hopefully we'll have time to talk about buffets. Anybody who's ever gone to a buffet with me, almost guaranteed has had the same thought. How do you eat so much at a buffet? So I'll tell you that story if there's time a little bit later. So that's what we're going to do on the show today. 30 minutes of time-wasting fun that starts right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. You know, as the boss of this place, right, I own the company. This is my gig. It's my thing. There's never any shortage of laughter at my expense, which I'm fine with. I roll with the punches. I can, I roll with the big dogs. I'm a sarcastic dick myself, right? So I can certainly take it. Now, much of the mockery about me happens when we talk about, generally it's something with social media or something in pop culture that's not entertainment news. So, for instance, TikTok. I don't exactly know what TikTok is. I've never been on it. I mean, I see people dancing around. So my assumption is TikTok is a dancing app. I don't know. Same thing with Snapchat. Now, going back probably about 5 or 6 years ago, somebody asked me for my, so-called Snap. So they asked me for my SC. I had no idea what that meant. Like, I honestly didn't know. And then somebody said Snapchat. And I said, again, it's one of those things that I've heard of, not a clue what it is. I have no idea what Snapchat is. And again, I still don't know. And the bottom line is that I have no interest. You got to realize, remember, I wrote that book called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. I am the person who is saying, get away from this technology. And again, by technology, I mean your goddamn phone. And go out and live, right? In my house, we have the simple rule of the phones stay on the kitchen counter by the toaster oven and our keys and whatever. And, if it's something, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to answer a phone call. You're not allowed. No. What I'm saying is if it's our time, if it's like, family time, group time, whatever, and we're watching TV or something, that's when there's no phones. Obviously, I mean, I've got an office in my house, so I mean, my cell phone will be there, or if I'm in the bathtub, it'll be. But when it's family time, when it's us, cuddling with the dogs on the couch watching TV, there are no phones. And so that's just one of the rules I live by. And I've told this story on the show many times before. Same thing with upstairs in the bedroom. My upstairs is basically a big loft area, and so the bedroom is kind of the entire upstairs of the house. And the phones aren't allowed up there. We're not woken up by a cell phone. We don't wake up and then, wake up in the middle of the night and lean over and look at the cell phone. So I always have to give this big explanation because people think I'm just so out of touch. Bottom line is I have no interest in these apps. I have no interest in living my life through this device that I just hold in my hand. I don't believe that the world is... I'm not accessing the world through this device. And so when we've had discussions about dating apps or dating websites, dating profiles, all that kind of stuff, I'm completely clueless, right? I'm thinking of like personal ads when I describe it. I always envision it to be like, single male looking for blah. Well, apparently it's very cut to the chase right now, at least in the gay world anyway. And same thing with, I guess it's Match.com. There was that other one. My friend had, again, I've told this story on the show. My cousin came up to me at a family get together and she said, my friend is chatting with you on such and such website. And I was like, I've never even heard of that. What is that? She's like, it's the dating website, such and such. And I was like, not me, because, my big muscular husband is over there. I ain't chatting on some web. And so she showed me a picture of a friend, and I was like, I have no idea. And secondly, like, that is not my type at all. No, sorry. I'm sorry. Now, again, you have to remember that I've been in the newspaper for how many years? I've got books. I'm on the radio. I mean, my picture is out there. And that's where I always go and I laugh. And I say, if you're going to catfish or you're going to use find somebody hotter. Don't use my picture? Nah, then that person has bad judgment all around. So, and even still, when we've had Neve from Catfish, he was on the radio with me a few years ago. That's what I don't understand it. If you're planning on meeting somebody, why would, how do you then explain that? Like, just be honest about it up front and go, hey, I'm a gross, dirty slob. I don't shower. I don't do this. I don't do that. Why? I don't understand why you would send a picture of like this hot model. Now, again, I understand when they give their explanation of like, well, I thought that you would like me for me and not what I look like, blah, blah. And I said that back in the day when I was like 20 something and single. I kept saying, you're going to love me for my mind. It's not about what I look like. Because I used to do the gay.com chat room thing back in the day. Now, that was when instant messaging was very new. We didn't have social media or anything back then. So, in a way, you kind of almost want to be anonymous, right? As a writer, I wanted to have people appreciate me for my words in my conversation. Why? I'm getting the wrap-up signal already. What is this, the fucking Emmys? This is the podcast, you guys. Why I'm getting wrapped up. It's not the radio show that we've got to go to a commercial. I can talk for... Hold on. Now they're talking to me in my ear. Go ahead, Tim. Well, all right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. I'll allow that. They said we've got other things on the lineup today, so I we got to wrap this up. Okay, so, and I haven't even got to the actual point of the story. Okay, I applaud you guys for doing your job. Thank you for keeping me on track. Let's get back to this whole posting ads online thing, because my team came to me the other day and they said, look at this. I guess it's a personal ad in a sense. Where I don't know where it was posted. It was posted on some kind of a message board or whatever. And to me, there was something very charming about it. I'm going to read it to you right now. So the headline is "Male Searching for Friendship," and it says, "Hello. Do you remember when you were a child in the playground and it was pretty simple, but 'do you want to be my friend' isn't a line you hear from adults. Teenage years are filled with friendships easily made and some easily forgotten when you are feeling keen, sociable, and energetic. Then there are engagements, marriage, relocation, career changes, families. Life comes calling with its multiple demands, and friendships evolve as a result. I have been happy to see my friends move through these huge life moments, but as much as I value my friendships, I have found myself lonely at times. Some friends are physically far away, while others are time poor, and with the best will in the world, it isn't simple to see each other as often as we would like. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could become friends?" Exclamation point. Now, there is something very charming about that post, I will admit. And the one thing that I look at is, how do you spell? There's not one typo in it. The one that always gets me is that it's and its, right? IT apostrophe S or ITS. It's used correctly in here. It is just so well written. And again, male searching for friendship. So reading this, to me, I feel like this is somebody who's older, probably 50, 60. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something charming about that makes me want to go and say, like, I'll be your friend. Like, I would reply to that person. I don't think that there's anything creepy about it. I don't think this is somebody who's just looking for a hookup. I don't think that there's anything predatory, meaning like, they're gonna have some back and forth conversation with you, and then by the third phone call or email or whatever it is, they're gonna go and ask you for sex. Like, it just seems there's just something so innocent about it, almost childlike in a sense. And I would be maybe I will have them send me the email or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't text from my cell phone. I would email from a different email account. Look at, I'm already not trusting the person. Meanwhile, I just said that it seems like such a genuine post. But tell me what you think of a post like that. There's just something that was so nice and refreshing. Like, I just feel like that sounds like a person who would be a good friend. I don't know. What do you think? Send me an email. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. I'm laughing because the whole setup to that story took longer than me reading it and discussing it on here. So this is why I pay my producers the big bucks. They keep me on track, and they were like, "We had 4 minutes for this, and you're already almost at 8 minutes. Like, let's wrap this up." And they were panicking when I hit the 5-minute mark, and they're like, "We're out of time already, and you haven't even got to the point." So there we are. I don't know. I find that to be a very charming post. What do you think? live@jbonair.com. I want to be that person's friend. I think that that's somebody who just seems so nice and caring, and they just want somebody to talk to. I mean, I guess I was in that position before until I got to that point in my life where it's like, you know what? Screw everybody. I want to be alone. I don't want to be around people. The fewer friends, the better. Because, oh wait, I don't have time. I'm going to make time. Screw it. I'm going to keep going. Because, I remember back in the day when your phone could only hold 50 contact names in your address book. And I felt really cool, right? I felt really special that I had this full phone and, lots of people. And then I got to it, and I'm looking and I'm scrolling through names, and it's like, I don't know this person's last name. I don't know what this person does for a living. I don't know how old this person is. And so it's interesting. Now, obviously, we've changed the definition of friends, right? Thanks to social media. But back in the day, right? I mean, you didn't have these sort of arm's length friends. A friend was a friend. You don't have, these Facebook friends where it's like, oh, I don't know where they live. I don't know. They just added me as a friend. Like, oh, what the deal is? I don't know. And that wasn't the case, 15 years ago or so. And so I would look at that and go, I've got 50-some people. How many of them are reaching out to call me? How many of them are asking me to hang out? How many of them are, and I don't even know that, I don't even think that texting was a thing back then. I think this was still when people made phone calls. And so how many of them are returning my voicemails back when you used to leave voicemails for people? How many of them are, like how many of them talk about me to their other friends in a good way? How many of them are doing anything like that, right? And so very quickly, that's where I sort of put up these walls, and I just realized that I was reaching out to these people all the time. I was there for everybody. I was, you had a breakup, you had a fight with your parents, you had trouble at school, you had whatever. I was the person that people called, right? So when you needed somebody, when you needed an ear and there was nobody else, you ran to JB. And I was fine doing that, right? Because I felt like I'm needed or I'm wanted or I'm making a difference to these friends. And then when the tables turned, right, and then I was going through some shitty things at home with my parents or school or guys or whatever it was, how many of them were getting back to me? How many of them had that sense of urgency? How many of them were staying up until 3 a.m. to talk me through something when I would do it? And I didn't get anything in return. I wasn't asking for, hourly payments for therapy sessions. I wasn't asking anything like that. I'm talking, as I'm relaying the story, I'm thinking of one specific person in my head who kind of really did hurt me and took advantage of that. But through the course of these, like I said, I'm over it now. It was, 15, 20 years ago. It's something that I've got over it. And that's where I have these walls. I still have these walls up where I'm not just a friend. Like, I'm not just, okay, you know me, boom, we're friends. Right? I need to know stuff about you. You need to take an interest in my life. You've got to know what my dogs' names are. I need to know what your profession is, how old you are. Because that's really what a friendship is when you're a grown-up. And like that post says, it's very easy as you're a kid to just go and say, hey, you want to be friends? Hey, I think we're going to be friends. And then as an adult, and I think it was on Seinfeld during, when they would show Jerry at the beginning doing his little stand-up, like 1 minute stand-up sort of blips. And I remember him saying that one time during an episode. Like, as an adult, you're kind of like, I've got enough friends, thanks. I'm not accepting any more applications. And that's truly how I felt, 10, 15 years ago. Now, if I met somebody at, like, business-wise, like through a meeting or some kind, okay, I met this person professionally, and then we could become friends that way, sure, that actually happens quite a bit with me. But certainly not, I think the last person, and this is very truthful, it might have, I don't even know, maybe about 10 years ago or so, I had one dog at the time. I would walk my dog all the time, and there was always this woman at the bus stop in the mornings. And I guess I just happened to take the dog out the same time every day. And she would be waiting at the bus, and I would stop. I had a golden retriever, right? We would stop. She'd comment, or she'd say hi to him or whatever, and and then as we were walking more and more, every time he would see her, he'd, almost kind of start to pull me towards her. So we strike up conversation, talk about the weather, the dog, how old he is. She had a dog too, she works downtown, blah, 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 blah. And then it was just kind of like, oh, my name's Jan. Oh, hey, Jan, I'm Jeremy. And I would say that she was a woman in about her mid to late 50s, maybe early 60s. And me, I was in my mid 20s, I guess, at the time. But it was just something where you're just kind of like, yeah, we just strike up conversation because we pass each other all the time, or I pass her all the time. And then obviously we live in the same neighborhood, so then I run into her at the grocery store. Or she sees me in the newspaper, right, because I have a column in the paper. Or she sees me walking by the house because, we walk down her street. I don't know where she lives, but she called me from the doorway one time. Oh, Jeremy, it's me, And so we go over and, I say hi. And she ended up becoming a friend for quite a while. And it was just sort of cool. She would invite me. I never went, but she would invite me she would have coworkers over for, like a barbecue or something in the backyard. I always kind of made an excuse because I just thought, like, well, I don't really know anybody, and it's a hen party. It's all the girls from the office, which could have been fun, but I just, I always found an excuse not to go. And I would say not even 2 or 3 months ago, I was walking home, carrying my groceries from the store, and I hear this honk, and sure enough, she's driving down, my street. And, we stand there and talk for a while, or I stand there, she's sitting in the car. And so, again, I wouldn't say that she's a friend, because she has her life, I have mine. We just kind of happen to cross paths every now and then. But, we don't do that as an adult. I'm not going out there and seeking friends, as this person is with the post. But to me, that just sounds like it would be a really nice person to spend time with. Somebody who's positive and optimistic, who, just wants companionship in their life. It doesn't sound like they're... I guess it sounds like they're single, but it doesn't say, I'm single, I'm lonely. I guess it did say it lonely or something at one point. Let me go back to that here. I found myself lonely at times. Okay, so I take that back. But anyway, the point is that I don't think this is somebody who's going to be clingy. I think this is maybe somebody who just wants to be checked in on and wants somebody to talk to about their day or something like that. And again, not everybody wants to be in a relationship, right? I remember going through that years ago. People, when I would say that I was single, and people would be like, "Oh, well, you'll find the right person. Oh, well, I know somebody. I can say, I'm good." No, I was fine being on my own. Yeah. So anyway, so back to that ad posting. Send me an email what your thoughts are. Do you think this is somebody who's nice? Would you reply to that person? Would you go and say, you know what, I'm interested in being your friend. Let's talk. How would you pursue it? Would you pursue it? Live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
What I'm saying, I wouldn't say that I would have them. All right, everybody, I'm back. Now I'm talking to the microphone. Here we go. The debate raged on just now in that, how long were we gone? A minute. Where people were going and saying, you would never invite that person over and have them over to your house. Let me answer as to why I would not. First of all, when I first bought my house, what was it, like 14 years ago? Of course I loved having people over and showing off my place, and because you're proud as a homeowner, right? Like now that I'm situated and I'm, it's my little world, it's my zone. I don't like having people over. It's my place. We don't have people over. We'll go out to people's places or whatever, but it sounds hypocritical. Wait a second, you can go to other people's places, but you don't have, no. Because also too, we have 2 dogs, they're hyperactive, they're going to get in the way, people get annoyed with them, so it's just easier to not have people over. That's our excuse. And so we're going to keep talking about that friendship ad, and we're not going to talk about those other things that I teased you at the top of the show. So there you are, right? I set you up to get you all revved up and have this discussion. We're not even going to get to those ones. So as for inviting a friend over. Now, again, back in the day, yes, when I was, this is 14 years ago, so when I was single and I had, gay chat rooms or whatever it was that was popular at the time. Again, social media wasn't a thing. I was very quick to invite people over. I didn't feel unsafe. I didn't feel it was. Now I realize that yes, if you're having a stranger come over, but that's also why, being the talker that I am, I would have like very long conversations with these people. I certainly did not do like what I see people on Grindr and other things where it's within like 2 minutes of saying hello, you're already inviting the person over. I never had any instances like that. But I would at least have phone conversations with somebody, and then sometimes I would just go and say, you know what, why don't you come by? We'll walk my dogs. Or I had 1 dog at the time. We'll walk my dog. And in that moment, then I would decide if I feel comfortable inviting them in to continue chatting, or, was that always just kind of the safe way out, where it's like, even if I did have a good time, great, I'm still not inviting the person in on the first time, because that could be setting the, weird expectation that I want more, and, you're just right, like, it's like, oh, do you want to come in for coffee, which is code for sex, right? I mean, I've quoted, I think, Seinfeld a couple times already today. And so that's where I've never done a hookup, so I've never just had like a one night kind of a thing. That's just never been for me. So when it comes back to this friendship thing, I think social media and the trust in people just really has changed, right? Remember before these gay chat rooms or whatever it was a little bit. I don't think that people were as suspicious. I'm not sure that catfishing really happened. I think that's kind of something that's now just in recent times has happened. I think my generation was very trusting in people. And again, that's the way I was using it. Maybe I could be completely wrong as to how the rest of the gay community was, but I certainly wasn't using it as a hookup tool. I was just desperate to, have friendship or relationship. And so maybe people were expecting that I was going to put out or whatever, but I certainly never did. Now it makes sense why they never called me again, and I didn't maintain those friendships, right? I talk about those people who wouldn't get back to me about things. Now I talk it through, and I'm totally understanding. No, I think that, yeah, people should be a little bit more cynical and skeptical nowadays. Back in the day, it was not that you had to be on the down low in the gay community, but that was certainly your only outlet, was either, gay bars or, kind of the anonymous chat rooms. But I would always insist on, somebody having... It's weird, your logic of, you've got to have a picture if you want to chat with me. Meanwhile, you could easily just have taken that photo of, from the internet and used it of somebody, right? But... and then when I remember people would say, well, do you have more pictures? And I would always say, I look like me in all of them. Like, I don't understand why. And then the same logic, right? Well, I could have just stolen 3 pictures. I could be using 3 pictures of my friend then, right? That's not, people always sort of needed more than one picture to verify that you were real. I do remember that. So I think that, there was the level of skepticism back in the day. I don't know that it was as risky and as dangerous, at least certainly what I was involved in or engaging in. But nowadays, I would not. And also too, remember, I'm in the newspaper and I'm on the radio, so not to say that I'm a celebrity by any means, but certainly I don't want to have that reputation of like, hey, yeah, that cheapskate guy in the newspaper, or that columnist in the newspaper, had me over to his place. I don't want to get that reputation either. So, but no, I think that, just if it's a friendship where it's like, hey, just come and, if you've got a dog or whatever, let's go and walk the dogs together, or, meet me at the park and, we'll sit and talk and the dogs will run around or whatever it is. And I think as long as it's made clear, hey, you know what, I'm married and, I'm married to a dude. So if you're okay with having, a gay friend, or maybe you're gay yourself and maybe that's part of the reason why, maybe you're in the closet, or maybe, whatever it is, and you just genuinely need somebody to talk to, that's great. I definitely would do something like that. Again, it goes back to that whole point of, you get to a time in your life where, I don't do the nightclubs. I don't do the nightlife and the social life. So, that would be a disclaimer for a new friend where it's like, don't expect me to go to like parties and stuff with you, because I don't do that. Even as it is, our producer, Suzanne, the other week, I haven't seen her today. She's not here, I guess. She's not here today. You know why? Because we went to the casino and we stayed out until I think it was after midnight. And it was funny because she called me. We had talked about getting together earlier in the day. And then I said, well, I don't know, let me just, go home, see what the dogs are, whatever. And then she ended up calling me. I think it was about 8 or 8:30. She didn't want to go out. She was just kind of like, do we still want to get together? And so she felt that she was letting me down by bailing. And then I said, well, this was your idea. You're the one who said, let's get together and let's go out. I don't gamble. For me, the casino isn't fun. I've told you that story before. But then I said to her, I'm like, well, I don't really want to go out, neither do you. Like, I'm pretty tired, but I mean, we kind of said that we were going to, so let's just go. We both had absolutely no energy going into this meetup, this social interaction. But then she said, but we're going to end up having fun, because anytime that we get together, it's always, we always end up having some laughs. And we really did. Suddenly, we get together, and just, it's like a switch. All of a sudden, we've got this energy. We're having laughs. We had a good time. I had a glass of wine. She had a glass of wine with like Sprite or something in it. She totally like watered it down. But yeah, it was just okay. And so I remember her even saying like, oh my God, you're out past like 10:30. This is crazy. And I said, I know, I don't normally do this. And I'm also the person who will call you out on who does that whole like, well, I've got to be up in the morning. And I'll always say, you know what? It's one night. It's not a big deal. You can stay up late one night. And if you're tired tomorrow, boo-hoo. I'm the boss anyway. So if you call in sick or something, I'll know, and then it is on you. But anyway. So one more time, the email address is live@jbonair.com. We've got a Twitter shout out, and then I'll be back right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley on The Scribble. I feel bad. It's like when a guest gets bumped from The Tonight Show or something because another previous guest has run too long. I teased you at the beginning with those other conversation topics, and we don't even have time to get to them today, so maybe another time. I think we've already got the next couple weeks locked down for conversation, but you never know. You'll have to just tune in. Although I think I did tease them enough. So if you did have an opinion on what I was talking about, saving up your money and then, what was the other one? Eating all you can eat buffets. Do you actually eat all you can eat, or do you save a bit of room so you can actually walk when you leave the restaurant? But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Live at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,